transition more into like the influencer category, which is interesting, and I'm thinking, how do you talk to a bunch of creators?
I know, right?
How in the world? But what I think would be fantastic is aside, just from my experience, just to remind everybody of the infinite value that we generally are providing to not just one another, because that's quantifiable in some realms, but very objective in a lot of other ways. But we're doing a lot of wonderful things. We're creating a lot of noise, and I know we say there's a lot of this buzz, this hype. But this is just a good proving ground of what it is that we're doing, and the interactions that we're having, and our ambitions alone, I think, are going to drive us in the positive way. So when it comes down to it, and we're looking at influencer marketing, so I'm not giving everybody the 101. Some big things, and my two favorite words that I've kind of led with that have helped me, not only just with myself and what I've done, but partnering with other individuals. Empathy, which I love the fact that it has been brought up so many times already today organically, because between that and synergy. And those have really been the huge seeds that I've planted regardless of any specific conversation. And really the tie-in, instead of talking about, hey, here's influencer marketing 101, I think we would focus on collaborations. Because a lot of us, that's kind of our lifeblood, from what I'm seeing, is, we can do great things ourselves, but if we think about it, and we give ourselves like just an objective view, and we remove our ability to collaborate with others, who are we, and what are we doing? And so instead of saying, hey, this is how you do this and that, I would love to serve as a general reminder that we are doing some wonderful work, and it's only going to be fantastic to the extent of which we know it can be. And we're only going to be able to maximize the potential if we're able to synergize with one another. And so from that, if we think about what we're doing, we're kind of just indulging and spearheads of what individuals and human beings have been doing since the beginning of time. And that's just observing one another. That's really all we are. We've just now found a way to quantify the amount of observation that we receive. And then, so to that, really, we're also doing something that's time tested. A lot of people think that this whole influencer marketing, content creation, a lot of individuals see it as new, as a lot of us are probably explaining what it is to a lot of people in conversations. But we can go back as far early as our girl Shirley Temple, right? Doing her old Wheaties thing. Everyone thinks athletes, but don't forget about Shirley Temple, man. She was on cereal boxes, right? And not a lot of people really think about that as much. So she could be called the OG. Let's just trademark that here. But you think about your singers, you think about your Michael Jordan, these are some big collaborations, but there's a reason why it's not only been done since the beginning of time, but it's continuing to be done. And I really have to stress that we are beacons of positivity, beacons of light, but also beacons of attention. And I think that if we don't leverage that properly by building our inventory and working with one another, that's when I kind of want to give us hats off. The fact that we have a platform where we can all focus our thought leadership. Megan can have individuals on her shows. You can appear on multiple. All the things we're doing at these, like Flex and Friends was such a fun time, because I got to, I love doing that, but I got to help each and every one of you, for the most part, tell your stories.
Which never got out, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm pretty pissed about that, to be honest with you. Pretty pissed about that, to be honest with you.
When did that happen?
Yeah, I know. We share the level of bum on that specifically. So, yes, very, very sane.
How do you not that down to me?
Yeah, please don't ever. But when it comes down to where we're adding value, because a lot of us think what do I do? What do I do that actually is of value to them? And I think, and I hate fishing. But I said this on the Industrial Marketing Live, if you will, recently, and it really resonated with individuals. So for lack of a better analogy, if you're thinking about fishing, you want to catch this specific line of attention. So you're out here in this big pond of the internet, if you will. And imagine if some guy comes up to you and says, hey, I know you're trying to target these specific individuals. If you go right over there, there's a whole shitload of them. Mm-hmm. And essentially, we're access to that. And that's why individuals, we're not only referring one another to one another, we're getting referred to by these other large entities, and people are seeking us as well. Mm-hmm. So just please be a standard reminder that we are responsible for a lot of attention. And then when it comes to what these brands are willing to do, when it comes to the buddy branding system, so I guess we'll kind of transition into that. For those who aren't familiar, it's the tackiest thing I've probably ever said in my life. Never expected it to stick whatsoever. But it came from when we were children. We all probably heard the buddy system, where you're going out swimming, swim with a buddy, be safe. I spent a lot of times romping around when the street lights were on, and doing things that you do when the street lights are on. but having the buddy system. And so I thought, even though I'm a big fan of alliteration, that's the root of it. It reminded me of really what is the essence of collaboration. I think that's in strengthening not only our efforts, but our scalability. And so I'll transition back to you in a moment. But when it comes down to, because I just get asked about the buddy branding system a lot and what it meant to me, and it was designed for individual creators or smaller entities to be able to still collaborate with much larger individuals, but actually have a conversation to have, or when you have limited resources. So for example, at Flex, didn't have much of a budget, in some circumstances. And so what we needed to do is I needed to get on the shoulders of giants. And in order to do that, I needed to really, reverse engineer what it is that I was trying to accomplish, but also lead with my two favorite words we discuss is empathy, making sure that I wasn't going into it with just what I wanted to accomplish, but also know that they were trying to accomplish something as well. And if I was to help them do that, and if we are to help our prospective clients, whatever, do that, I think it makes conversations a lot easier for each and every one of us. So to tie it all in, it was a big way for us to scale efforts, because also if we're two entities and I want to achieve a specific amount of reach, I have a budget, but I say, hey, hold on. So instead of me just dropping $1,000 on a campaign and doing all the creative myself, here, I'll split it with you. I'll do the majority of the work. You got to show up. Can I put your logo on it? Give me some general assets. And do you want to split the budget 50-50? Or even I'll put 1,000 and you put 1,000 in. I've now doubled my efforts without having to double any type of my input, if you will. And I use that a lot. I scaled it significantly when the resources weren't there. And if we're doing our individual creator role, I think that's fantastic. And if we assign dollars to it, leverage it, correct? So that'll be kind of the big thing. And then, so now we'll kind of go back and forth as we leverage things out. We got a quick stop and go round, just to give some actionable items. So we're going to say something that we think people should stop. And instead of saying, hey, stop doing that, wagging the finger, hey, here's what we recommend in suggestion to that. So one of them is stop treating B2B like it's B2B. And instead, it is H2H. It is human to human, always has been and always will be. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. You're always selling to a human. Even if your customers or businesses, you're selling to humans. So story is everything. And empathy and relationships.
True. And then a big thing that really hit me in a book that I had read is a lot of people confuse empathy with sympathy. And even though I don't know the technical definitions, what it was described to me in the book is that sympathy is recognizing someone's feelings. Emily is sad. That stings for her. That's sympathy, but empathy is inserting ourselves into those specific feelings. And I wonder why she is. Let me take a moment to genuinely not only want to, but pursue to understand what that genuinely feels. And I think from even a marketing or even a human standpoint, that gets us a lot farther in conversations than I think we would have imagined in the first place.
And the way you create empathy is through a story.
Yeah. And then real quick check on time, because there's not an extensive amount. I just want to make sure we're being respectful.
Right at 11:30.
Okay, cool. And then, so we'll end it on a high note here. For just one last question here. Stop using your own terms. Stop using the I marketing, not the physical I, but the I as in this is the way I say things. This is the way I use this terminology. This is what I put in my white paper. And then translate that and actually want to learn how they refer to it. You have any thoughts on that? I know you've used empathy in a lot of your approaches.
Yes. Stop talking about your capabilities and we do this. The first thing that people should see when they land on their website should show that you understand them, that they are in the right place. It's going to signal to them that they are in the right place. Wow, this company gets me. They get what I'm struggling with, and they care about me, not them.
There we go. Be a good human. Go ahead, dude.
Yeah, I'll add something too. We did an experiment. I was in a group about this. If you use the word "you" in the first 7 seconds of your video,
Yep.
the audience retention goes up by 10%.
Yep. I use
good chat, dude.
All of my website copy for all of my customers that I work with. I'm saying you in the beginning, you were dealing with this. I change everything from they or whatever, however I feel like most small manufacturing companies don't even speak in those terms at all. It's all short sentences. I make fun of engineers because they don't use subjects. They'll just leave off the you and say I can't think of a good example right now, but my husband is the worst because he's an engineer. And I'm like, who are you talking about? Like, use a subject in your sentence.
There we go. There we go. So to wrap all things up, hey, be a good human. And I know we heard a lot. You guys are not imposters. You're really not. And if you ever want to mitigate this, if you are genuine, it sounds cliche. If you're a good human and you know in your heart you are, you will never, ever be an imposter. Ever.
Oh.
Ever. So,
I have a question. It's great, thank you. Look like Eddie's, just an example, a little maybe micro story. Is there an example of your title as somebody you can think of where you are, making good noise and a great person?
Gosh, there are just so many examples because I made it a mission. And Flex and Friends was really a catalyst for that. It truly, truly was. And even though there's a little bit of a bottleneck and it's more difficult to do that at this seam, that was just a wonderful example because one thing I noted is we kept it product agnostic. You never heard me mention product one time on the show. We talked 98% about the human beings, and the people who have been on it can confirm that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the highlights of my entire career. And everyone could say, hey, did you monetize that? You could speculate all you want. But that was good noise with great people, period.
Yeah, I mean, going on all of your podcasts, like going on these shows and being in person at in-person events like this one and trade shows and like just getting those selfies with friends and like that. I mean, yeah, you're not talking about your products or your services or your business even, but you're getting the attention of people in our industry still, and it's really fun. And we're creating that FOMO, right? We're creating that FOMO.